Hey y'all, it's Whisper, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my gear setup as I hike the Appalachian Trail. I am about a fourth of the way through, so I thought it was about time I showed you all of my gear. And on any given day, my pack will usually weigh about 22 or 23 pounds. That weight is dropping as I get rid of some of my cold weather gear. But yeah. This is my second attempt at making a gear video. The first time I tried to make one of these, I got carried away and ran out of storage. Before I came out on trail, I was a full-time gear specialist, and because of that, it's pretty easy for me to go on long rants about picking out your gear. I've decided that I will not go on any rants in this video to keep it short, so we will see what happens. I'm super excited to show you what I've got, so let's get started. So let's start off with my tent. The name of my tent is Tarp Tent Pro Trail, and this is a one-person tent that weighs in at 1.5 pounds. And including the price of waterproofing, I ended up paying $300 for this tent, which isn't bad. So this is a non-freestanding tent, which means that in order for it to remain upright, it has to be staked to the ground. And what I like about this tent is that you don't have to carry poles around with you. I decided to pay extra for the smaller pole just because my trekking poles are confusing and they don't fit properly at the end side of the tent. It's no big deal though. And another thing I really like about this tent is that it has a lot of spots where you can tighten it, so when it's windy and rainy, my tent is unaffected. And it's really good in the rain. I stay super dry in it. It's very long, so if you're a tall person, it will do you very well. And I've had a lot of people come up to me and ask me about my tent just because it is one of the more unique tents out on the AT. I have met one other person with the same tent as me, so that's another cool thing. It's a unique one, and I have really loved my tent. I strongly approve of the Tarp Tent Pro Trail. I also want to talk about my mom's tent real quick, just because it is almost identical to mine, but it is lighter and it is cheaper. So if you are looking for something that isn't $300, I suggest my mom's tent. It is by a company called Trails, and it is a 3-person tent that weighs in at 1.3 pounds. This one comes with the poles. It's 2 poles, just like mine, but you can choose to replace those poles with your trekking poles if you'd like. The only setback for this tent is that it does not have a tub, so you can just choose to lay on the grass, or you can also bring in a small footprint or a sheet of Tyvek to lay on top of, but overall it is a great tent. It is $99 for a 3-person tent, and like I said, it weighs 1.3 pounds. So just another thing to think about if you need a more budget-friendly option. That is another great brand, and I actually met the owners at Trail Days. They are super nice. I highly recommend that tent as well. I currently have a Big Agnes Air Core. It is uninsulated with an R value of 1.5, and at night I place that on top of a closed cell foam mat. Mine is by Alps Mountaineering, and that has worked out for me really well so far. The Big Agnes sleeping pad is relatively new. I replaced it because I initially had a Nemo Tensor insulated sleeping pad. That is an $190 sleeping pad that weighs in at 15 ounces. And I just was having a lot of trouble with it. It has, I want to say, 6 patches. It is very susceptible to holes, and in my opinion, it is not worth paying $190 for that pad. That's just my personal experience, and I have been really happy with my new pad so far. It only cost me $70, and what I like about this pad is that it has 2 air valves, one for releasing all the air, and then there's one that will slowly release the air, and you can use that one to adjust the squishiness of your sleeping pad, so I can fix myself if I'm sleeping poorly at night and make it a little bit less inflated. I love that. And the only difference between these 2 pads is really the price. My new one was a lot cheaper, and then the size and weight. So as I said earlier, the Nemo Tensor weighs in at 15 ounces, and the Big Agnes Air Core weighs in at 22. So it's a little bit heavier, but there's not much of a size difference, and to be honest, it's worth the wait. It was cheap, and it is a lot more durable so far. So I like the Big Agnes sleeping pads. Some people might have had different experiences with the Nemo sleeping pads, but that's just what I've seen so far as I've hiked. Next up is my sleeping bag, which was a Thermodown 15 by Pariah Outdoors, and it actually wasn't a bag, it was a quilt. And what I liked about this quilt was that, well, first of all, it was a quilt, so it could be a blanket at some points, but then you could also convert it into more of a mummy sack if you needed to, if it's colder outside. I did end up ripping it in the washing machine one day. I was unaware that there is a certain kind of washing machine that you should not wash sleeping bags in. I teared it up just a little bit. I was able to take care of that though. And that quilt weighed in at 2 pounds and cost me $160. And then I also have a Cedar Summit, I think it's called Thermolite Reactor, but that adds another 15 degrees of heat to my bag if I need it. So together my system can get down to 0 degrees. It did me really well in the cold weather, but now that it's summer, I am going to be switching out to a Big Agnes King's Canyon quilt, which is 45 degrees. Since 45 is pretty warm, I'm still going to keep my liner just in case it gets colder on some nights. Okay, let's talk about clothes. I have 4 pairs of underwear, 2 pairs of Injinji sock liners, and then 3 pairs of Darn Tough socks, and one of those pairs is just for sleeping. I also have one shirt, and that is a Patagonia compression shirt. It's really the only top I wear. I also have a pair of Amazon shorts, and I think a pair of maybe Walmart leggings. Didn't spend a lot of money on my bottoms, but I like the shorts, and if it gets colder sometimes, I can wear the leggings underneath the shorts and be comfortable in colder temperatures. I also have a Patagonia lightweight chinchilla jacket. That will stay with me at all times. I really love the chinchilla, and it has done me really well on the trail. And as for my puffy, I have a Mountain Hardwear Rhea Ridge down puffer jacket. I don't remember the fill, but that is a great jacket. It has done me really well, and I bought that at my job, which is used gear, so I bought that pre-owned, and I think it retailed at $225, and I ended up spending, I want to say $70 on it, so I saved a lot of money on that jacket. And then my rain gear, I have a black diamond rain jacket, and then Compass 360 rain pants, which I ended up cutting into shorts. And just a little trick if you want to use this, I roll my jacket and my rain pants into the hood, and that makes it a lot smaller, and it's also easier to undo all of that My rain jacket does have it's packable, so you can stuff it into the pocket and zip it up, but I just prefer to keep it in the hood instead. And then finally, I have down booties for when it gets cold at night. These aren't socks, they're actually shoes. You can walk around in them, and I highly recommend getting down booties. Mine were by REI, but I would say the brand doesn't really matter. Keeping your feet warm can help you sleep so much better, and those will not go home ever. Those will stay with me until I get to Katahdin. Let's move on to cooking. I have a Ollie Camp pot, and that is a 24-ounce pot. The size has done me well. I wouldn't say you need one of those bigger ones that's like a liter sized pot. You'll be fine with a smaller one. And I have an Ollie Camp stove as well, and that is called the Ion stove. It's super small. It's been really great, and I highly recommend it. I think it weighs maybe like 0.3 ounces. And then I also have a spork. It is a long-handled spork so that I can eat from my dehydrated meals without getting my hands dirty, and I just ordered that off of Amazon. They make Sea to Summit sporks that are a little bit more expensive, but I would say there's not much of a difference between the on-brand and the off-brand sporks. And then, of course, this is so important, my water. I have a Hydro Pack 3-liter Seeker bladder, and then I also have a smaller CNOC 1-liter bottle, and that's a squishy bottle. And on top of both of those, I have a Katahdin Be Free filter screwed onto the lids of both of those. I love the Be Free filters. They're so small, they're so lightweight, and they've made my hike so much easier, so I do suggest you check those out. I store my food in 2 15-liter OpSack bags, and those are scent proof, so once you have that sealed, bears are not going to be able to smell anything inside of those bags. And then I place them inside of an Ursack bear-proof bag, and this has the same effect as a bear container. A bear is not going to be able to get to your food when it's inside of that sack, and I like it because it is a lot lighter than a bear container. It is 8 ounces versus a 2-pound bear canister, so that has been a great lightweight option for me thus far. And then, of course, I have an 100-foot long paracord with a carabiner tied to the end for bear hangs. I've noticed that a lot of people have started sleeping with their food inside of their tents on the AT, and I just can't bring myself to do that. I will always hang my food. It's just something that I will always do. And then I also have just a super small medical kit that I made myself. I have a wilderness first responder certification, so I had enough knowledge to be able to put together my own first aid kit. I don't really suggest doing that unless you have some sort of wilderness first aid experience, but otherwise you can find some pretty lightweight ones at really any outdoor gear store. I have a Garmin InReach Mini 1, and that weighs 3 ounces and tracks my location. It connects to a satellite every 10 minutes and will let other people know where I am on the trail. You can also send messages to people through that device, and it has an SOS button in case of emergencies. And I like this because it's a satellite device, so no matter where you are in the world, you can always get help when it's needed. I have a Black Diamond Spot headlamp. The lumens are 350, so it's a pretty bright one. And if you're looking for headlamps, just make it a top priority to have a red light, because people on trail will be pretty upset with you if you don't have the red light on at night. A white light can disrupt others while they're sleeping, so keep that in mind. As for my trekking poles, I have women's specific Lecky trekking poles, and those cost me $150. They are collapsible. I would say when it comes to trekking poles, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get good ones. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just walking sticks. So if you're trying to save money, that might be a good place to penny pinch and get the cheaper ones instead of like Lecky or Black Diamond. Alright, so let's talk about some gear that I have gotten rid of since I started the AT. I have gotten rid of my glove liners. I have gotten rid of a merino wool gaiter by Smart Wool, and the only reason I'm getting rid of that is because it's getting warmer out. That actually was a great item to have up until now, which it's like May now. And then I also got rid of my micro spikes. I just haven't used them. I might use them in the White Mountains, but just not using them right now. I also earlier on got rid of my umbrella and my bear spray and a ton of clothes. So that helped me save a lot of weight. I will be keeping one pair of gloves for the summer, along with a merino wool mask, face mask, that my coworker Asher made for me. Last but not least, and please excuse the noise in the background, we have my backpack, and I have loved my backpack so far. It was voted the #1 backpack for the AT by, I think, Backpacker Magazine or the Trek, one of those. I have an Osprey Exos 48-liter pack. The Exos is a male-specific model, but I found that I had broader shoulders when I started the ATs, so I kind of needed a male backpacking pack. I keep hand sanitizer strapped to the outside of that, and then I also have a towel that is easily accessible for me to wipe my face or blow my nose. That is also strapped to my backpack, and the brain to the backpack is also detachable, and I use that as my toiletry bag. It's super nice that it comes off, and that actually leads me to my very last section. I am going to go through the brain of my backpack and show you, let me get it off, and show you all of my toiletries. Alright, so the only thing I don't keep in here is my sunscreen. I keep that in a side pocket so that I can grab it whenever I feel like I'm getting burnt. But let's see what we have in here. We've got biodegradable soap by Sea to Summit. We've got hydrocortisone cream for itchy bites. We have a thermometer, just in case I'm not feeling well. I've only really used that a couple times. I have 2 chapsticks. I have toothpaste. I have little toothpaste tablets right now. And then I have a small collapsible toothbrush. I left it in the bathroom, but it's about that big. And then I have caps for my water bottle and my bladder. And I put these on top when it's gonna get cold out so that I can sleep with my water filters and they won't freeze during the night. I put them in a Ziploc baggie and just put them at my feet inside of my quilt. I have tweezers. I also have nail clippers. Those are in my medical kit. And then I have a needle and thread, just in case. Alright, and then let's go into this pocket right here. We got baby wipes. I keep toilet paper in here too. I need to restock that. I have my trowel, which is the Deuce #2. That's the model name. By the Tent Lab, I guess. There it is. Word of advice, don't ever let your trowel touch your own poop. This has only ever touched dirt, so let's see. I have a bunch of hand warmers. Most people don't carry these, but I do, just in case it gets unseasonably cold and I need them. And then I have a rain cover or a waterproof cover for my backpack when it rains. And this is by Equinox. I think this one is, I don't remember the name of it at the moment, but I would say your pack cover isn't really going to matter in general. You could order the ones off Amazon and be fine. I've actually noticed that most people have the Amazon branded pack covers, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But yeah, that is all of my gear. I hope this was informative, and as you guys know, I read all of your comments, so if you have any questions, just hit me with them down below and I will get back to you in probably 24 hours. But yeah, that's all my gear. Thank you for watching my videos, y'all. Thank you for following along as I hike the AT, and I will see you guys tomorrow.